Hey everybody, I'm CJ, and I've got a sort of an unpopular opinion about something that I want to share with you. But first, I want to go ahead and set the context here a little bit by first taking a look at this Bleeding Fool article. Basically, Ichibaka, he basically outlines his big thesis as to what exactly was going on with George Lucas and his decision to retire, sell Lucasfilm, sell specifically Star Wars, and all that fun stuff. And the long and short of this article is that he points to the conventional SJW narrative, which is to say, well, it's kind of embodied by this tweet that you can see right here around the galaxy, saying that the general audience, quote unquote, loved the sequels. It's the entitled fandom that drove Lucas away that has any problem with the Disney era. And as a rebuttal to that, Ichibaka he basically quoted from this new Star Wars archive book that basically contains a bunch of quotes from Lucas explaining why it is that he he sold the company. He sold Lucasfilm. He decided not to make the sequels and all that fun stuff. George Lucas says, "At that time, I was starting the next trilogy. I talked to the actors, and I was starting to gear up. I was also about to have a daughter with my wife. It takes 10 years to make a trilogy. Episodes 1 to 3 took from 1995 to 2005. I'd still be working on episode 9 right now. In 2012, I was 69, so the question was, am I going to keep doing this the rest of my life? Do I want to go through this again? Finally, I decided I wanted to raise my daughter and enjoy life for a while. I could have not sold Lucasfilm and gotten somebody to run the productions, but that isn't retiring. On The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, I tried to stay out of the way, but I couldn't. I was there every day. Even though the people were friends of mine and they did great work, it wasn't the same as me doing it. It was like being once removed. I knew that probably wouldn't work again, that I'd be frustrated. I'm one of those micromanager guys, and I can't help it. So I figured I would forego that, enjoy what I had, and I was looking forward to raising my daughter. Also, I wanted to build a museum, which I'd always wanted to do, so I was thinking if I don't do this now, I'll never get that done. I've spent my life creating Star Wars, 40 years, and giving it up was very, very painful, but it was the right thing to do. I thought I was going to have a little bit more to say about the next three because I'd already started them, but they decided they wanted to do something else. Things don't always work out the way you want it. Life is like that. So Ichibaka goes on to say that he writes, overtly stating that they decided they wanted to do something else also dispels the newly fabricated SJW narrative that the Disney trilogy is what Lucas had intended to do all along, and help explains why he felt betrayed, as mentioned in Bob Iger's book. Now, I can understand where this is coming from, why Ichibaka would say all of this. Obviously, I like Ichibaka. He's very big fan. He's shined a light on a lot of different things to do with Star Wars fandom and things that have happened with that. And I have no criticism. This isn't meant really to be a slam on him. But this is one of those times where I kind of have to think that maybe the SJWs and the freaks and weirdos they really are on to something. Now, not for the reasons that they think, but I do think there's a germ of truth to what they believe, and that kind of leads into my unpopular opinion. There was a an interview that George Lucas gave, or at least it was a quote that he gave to somebody, and this was at the my memory of it is it was at the beginning of 2012. The buyout, the Disney buyout of Lucasfilm was announced in October of 2012. So at the beginning of that year, at the beginning of 2012, George Lucas basically gave a quote, and I think it shines a light on some of what his real motives were. Now, guys, if we know nothing else about Lucas, it's that whether it's because of business sense or maybe he's got some kind of legal obligation, he's never going to trash talk too much of what Disney is doing with Star Wars, even if he completely disagrees or he completely disapproves or whatever. And I think there's good reason to think that he does not approve. There are limits to how public he's going to be uh, in his disapproval. So he was not under any similar limitations at the beginning of 2012, apart from the fact that he was running a business, and part of running a business is you have to keep the customers happy. There was just a certain zone he was willing to go into at the beginning of 2012 that obviously isn't that's not a zone he cares to go into anymore right now. He basically the money quote here that I want to draw your attention to. Again, this was January 18th, 2012, and the money quote here is uh, Lucas is talking about not making any more Star Wars films, and he says, "Why would I make any more when everybody yells at you all the time and says what a terrible person you are?" And uh, from there, he goes on. This article basically lists all the different changes and whatnot that were made to the original trilogy, and then some of the prequel discontent. And the other money quote that no one ever really talks too much about is it's actually right here. He says, "I'm retiring. I'm moving away from the business, from the company, from all this kind of stuff." And I've looked back on it quite a bit over the years, and I've wondered more than once if this wasn't the actual retirement announcement. And I've kind of nursed a theory for quite a while now that the reason that George Lucas made contact with Harrison Ford, Carrie Fisher, Mark Hamill, he came up with story ideas for episodes 7, 8, and 9. He wanted to make his company as attractive for a buyout to Disney as he could. If Star Wars was on ice, if it had gone completely into hibernation, and there was nothing new that was coming out or going to be coming out, the movie or the company is less attractive for a buyout. Whereas if he's got 7, 8, and 9 on tap, he's got the original cast coming back, he's got story ideas. All at once, Lucasfilm is now a lot more attractive for a Disney buyout than it would have been otherwise. And can't help thinking that's got a lot to do with it. And so, why would he want to do that? Well, I think he actually kind of says it all right here. All these years of um, George Lucas raped my childhood and all that, all those years of people basically running the guy down. I understand where a lot of the anger and resentment came from among fans, but it's just like it's one of those times when, not to sound like an SJW, I do kind of have to wonder, did we cross the line? Did we break this man? And I think there's circumstantial evidence to indicate that, you know what, maybe we did. So anyway, I just want to throw all that out there and see what comes back to me. So let me know what you think in the comments below. I'm CJ, and that's that. Thank you for watching. Subscribe, make sure you're still subscribed, comment, like, and share this video because it really helps me out. Also, you can find me on Twitter at Cole Loves Comics.